Back to rolling, and we're back to our coverage here at the FPA National Conference in Columbus, Ohio. And we have a real special guest with us right now, one I've been looking forward to today. And it's Matt Boersen, who is the founder and CEO of Straight Path Wealth Management, but also the current chair, and I believe the youngest one ever, of the CFP Board.
That's correct.
Matt, welcome to our broadcast here.
Thanks for having me. Excited.
Thanks for joining us. So we live in the RIA space, right? It's all about going RIA. And there are a lot of CFPs in the RIA world, myself included. So I was really eager to have a chance to kind of pick your brains and hear what you guys have in mind, and what do you have in mind in particular for the pathway of the CFP Board and the certification?
Yeah, we have a lot of really exciting things going on right now at CFP Board. There's lots of kind of multi-year initiatives that we're starting to see some real traction on and some real fruit on. One of those things is the development of the workforce. So we know from both talking to CFPs as well as kind of industry-wide data that we have a incoming kind of pending shortage, and that we have a workforce issue that we need to address. We need to get more competent and ethical financial planners coming into the financial planning profession. CFP Board sits in a unique spot where we feel like we can influence that. And so we're doing a lot of different things on college campuses. One of the cool things, though, that we've done that we just launched basically earlier this week was our Quite Possibly the Perfect Job campaign.
Yes.
And it's a social media campaign targeted towards kind of that next generation of financial planners, primarily people coming into college, potentially career changers depending on their age. And it's a really kind of creative marketing campaign geared towards those people at their stage of life based on our research, what we know is attractive to them. And so as CFPs, as financial planners, we know how great this profession is. We know how rewarding this job is. We know all of the benefits, but what we found is most people out there don't.
Yeah. I think that's really important, and something we talk about all the time. And you said competent, and I love, and ethical. So I love my acronyms, and I was actually talking to Kevin a little bit earlier on this, Kevin Keller from the CFP Board as well. A PINO. You know what a PINO is?
No.
Okay, PINO, planner in name only.
Okay.
And I think it's a real problem. I think the good news is they're the minority of the advisors out there, but the bad news is they're still there, planners in name only. So they're kind of going through the motions, acting as if they're planners, but they're really not. How can you guys help the community, the consumers out there, discern between real planners and PINOs?
Yeah, I think it comes back to the designation of certified financial planner. Yeah. So if for CFP professionals that are out there, the public can know that the education's there, that the experience is there, and that the ethics are there.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of money and put a lot of effort into the public awareness campaign over the past decade or so. And what we've seen is that the general awareness in the public of what CFP means, what it stands for, has not only increased, but then even more importantly, the preference to work with a CFP from a public standpoint. Mm-hmm. And so we've elevated the expectations of the public, both on what they should expect from their planner, and then also that they should expect it to be a CFP.
I think that's hugely important. So I got my CFP, it was almost exactly a quarter century ago. Yikes. And I was so excited to be able to say I'm a certified financial planner practitioner and working with you as a fiduciary. 25 years ago, that just went over people's heads, 9 times out of 10. But you fast forward a quarter century, I can gladly say that right now, at least one out of 3 prospective clients that come into my office, first 2 questions: are you a CFP? Are you a fiduciary? And I think the awareness that you guys are building is tremendously helpful for me as a business owner, but it's helpful for, if I may say, society, because it's helping them discern between planners and PINOs.
Yeah.
What else do you have along those lines that's going to come down the pike?
Yeah, and I'd say I've had the same experience, right? As an RIA owner, when I sit across from clients, the ratio probably holds the same 1 out of every 3, yeah. Right?
You weren't doing it 25 years ago, I'll tell you that.
Right. So, but today, that's certainly the case. And then for the people who don't ask, when you do give them a little bit of education on what it is, they're very thankful that they happen to be talking to someone who is a fiduciary. And I think that's one big aspect that CFP Board, several years ago when we added the broader fiduciary standard, did a great service for the public in the fact that there's so much confusion in the public around different business models, what are the different standards.
Yes.
And when CFP Board basically put our foot in the ground and said, hey, the fiduciary standard's important, it made it easier for the public because now the public doesn't have to understand what's the business model, how are you compensated. They just have to understand and ask, are you a certified financial planner? And that simple question, I think really helps the public and sets the financial planning profession to be really successful going forward.
Yep. Now, my understanding is that the fiduciary, or the level of ethics, let's just say, right? Because fiduciary is like, what does that mean? Just ethics, doing the right thing. As a CFP, that's above and beyond just being an RIA. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, and you've got a variety of other pieces of being a CFP that also come into it, right? So you've got the ethical component, you've got the education component, right? Even down to things like continuing education and the requirement to make sure that you're staying up on the new rules, the new regulations, the new standards from CFP Board is important, and then making sure that you're staying up on the new information around taxes and estate plan. Those are things that aren't necessarily required depending on where your business model is and how you're registered and things like that. And CFP has a really high standard for that, which also does the public really good too. Absolutely.
And when you're choosing a professional, what do you want? Do you know what are you talking about? And will you do the right thing? And I think that covers both.
Yeah.
Okay. We just have a little bit of time left. So you guys are having a conference down in DC.
Yeah.
Is this the first kind of big conference you guys have done, or is it just the first one I'm kind of aware of?
It's certainly the first Connections conference as it's set up today. So for years we've done the Diversity Summit, we've done a large firms conference, a registered programs conference, an academic conference, and so we've done 4 different kind of conferences. And what we did a few years ago is we actually combined the large firms and the registered programs conference. And what we found when we did that was there was so many synergies, both from large firms meeting registered programs meeting large firms. Both of those groups loved the chance to interact and connect, no pun intended, with each other. And we really think that there's an opportunity to bring what was previously 4 different events through 3 different time periods, bring them all together in one conference and really kind of turbocharge that connection piece. So we're really excited. I mean, we're really excited to bring together academics, large firms, practitioners, all across the whole financial ecosystem. Let them talk to each other, let them get to know each other, and just create and foster a connecting environment that's going to propel this profession forward.
All right, that sounds perfect. And where and when?
Yeah, so it starts next Sunday in Washington, D.C., not too far away from CFP Board headquarters.
All right, that sounds real good. And I think we're trying to work out the logistics, but we're going to try to get goRIA down there as well. So we look forward to that.
That'd be awesome.
Matt, thanks for doing this.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you taking some time. Okay, great. And for those of you in the audience, we're going to be here for another 4 or 5 hours. So we have at least 2 or 3 more segments to go. So stay tuned. Matt, thanks again.
Thanks.
All right.